up, everybody? Anthony here, Reflection Concept, reflectionconcept.com. Welcome back to the channel. Greatly appreciate you checking out the videos. Gonna go back to what I said 2 videos ago. We're not talking bass today. We're not playing bass. Please don't click away. Last time I said that, you didn't. You paid attention, and I greatly appreciate that. I would also greatly appreciate you subscribing to the channel. Very free and easy way to support what I do. If you want a less free and maybe not quite as easy way, but still very easy and not that expensive, if you want another way to support what I do, check out the hoodie I'm wearing here. I wear this in videos all the time, and I forget to call it out. This is a Reflection Concept hoodie I have available for my website. It's at reflectionconcept.com, right? It is buy one, get one half off. Not to throw a sales pitch on you, but reflectionconcept.com. Buy a hoodie, buy a t-shirt. I designed all the artwork. It's printed here in Pittsburgh, PA. Again, still very easy, and I think affordable way to support what I do. Get a super premium garment. The t-shirts are ring spun cotton. The hoodies are ultra soft. Another easy way to support is just by watching this video. That's super free. You're already doing that, hopefully. And that supports what I do. If you want to stream my music, also supports me. It's just under Anthony Pecora, right? Check that stuff out. A lot of you have reached out. You dig the music, have some questions about the music. That's cool too. I love engaging in that conversation. So again, easy ways to support what I do here at Reflection Concept, reflectionconcept.com, which is also just in our basement. Cool. That's the studio, right? All right. So today's video, I want to talk about 2 musicians that have deeply influenced me, and I want to base it around 2 records that they have respectively. First one, and I don't know the dichotomy of viewers out there, but I'm sure a lot of people like both of these artists. It's not that weird, although genre-wise, they're a little bit far away, I guess. Closer than you think. Trent Reznor, so 9 Inch Nails, and Meshell Ndegeocello. And the reason I came to these 2 artists to kind of focus on was kind of coincidental, was really just like a shuffle, playing in my car, driving to work. And it kind of made me go, they played back to back. So then it got me thinking why I like both of these artists, right? And what they mean to me. And this video is not a overview of the discography. It's not an album review. It's purely my interpretation of records from a moment in my life. And I highly encourage you, think about one of your favorite artists. Think about why you love them. Think about a moment in their career that has impacted you. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's your favorite record. That doesn't mean that it was some crazy, for me, bass riff, or if you're a piano player, piano riff, or whatever it is. Something that just about them that rings true to you. Something about their music that you can recall a certain stage in your life. Or something about them that you just so deeply respect. This is kind of all of those things. Outside of the blazing bass thing, this video is not at all about that. In fact, I'm going to kind of go anti that way when it comes to Meshell. All right, so I want to talk about, first off, we'll start 9 Inch Nails, Trent Reznor. I want to talk about the record, The Fragile, right, 1999. Now, that's coming in the wake of massive commercial success of The Downward Spiral and the song Closer, the very explicit song Closer, right? Very brief, not even backstory, context, we'll call it, right? I love 9 Inch Nails younger. Pretty Hate Machine, Broken, Fixed, and then Downward Spiral. I don't know if I might be missing some small stuff in there. Fixed is kind of a rare thing. Fixed was really cool. When I got my hands on an import copy of Fixed on CD back in the day, way back in the day, I thought it was so cool because it was the opposite colors of Broken. Broken was orange and yellow, and Fixed was all blue. It goes back to that influence. I love that in art of repurposing the same visual just with a different color scheme. Really adds something to the mystique around it. Lets you know that there was a paradigm shift. But I didn't realize that back in the day. I just thought, oh, the different colored one. Let's get that, right? Pretty Hate Machine, great tunes. Broken, super aggressive. Downward Spiral was pretty aggressive, a very aggressive record. And on Downward Spiral, there's a song called A Warm Place. And I didn't know it at the time, and I didn't like that tune at the time. I'd always skip it until I did, and I realized how beautiful it was. I didn't know it till decades later. That was the start of my love of ambient music, which is something that's so important to me to listen to, and that's an art form that I like to participate in. So, all right, fast forward. So Trent has all this success. Then he goes through some personal demons, I think, that are well documented between, what was Downward Spiral? I think it was 96. So, The Fragile could easily come back with like another Downward Spiral, relatively compact, kind of making the same statement. And instead, Trent comes out with a double CD, which is always like, could be like a kiss of death, because you're just putting like, I feel like it's, sometimes there's a lot of fluff in those things. And I think early on when I heard The Fragile for the first time, all the anticipation for it. And if I recall correctly, doing a little bit of recall and research on this, it came out like pretty popular and fell off a cliff pretty quick. I think it was like kind of dubbed as pretty grandiose, and like Trent just like not knowing what to do, so did everything. Where at the time, maybe the statement of The Fragile was lost on me. I wanted to hear the aggressive stuff. And there's plenty of that. There's some really, really heavy stuff on there, right? But like, I didn't want to go into the Pretty Hate Machine stuff. Not that like there are elements of it, but like whatever, track 2 or track 3 is like all solo piano. And there's these moments on that record of these extended periods of ambient music. And if I recall, and this shows you that this isn't some like, I didn't want to be ultra prepared and have all these like facts out, because again, this video is about the feel of that record to me, and I'm recalling things, you know what I mean? Yes, I listened to it pretty recently, but I didn't like go some deep dive into information about it. Call that underprepared. I think of it more of like, that's kind of what the video is about, right? It's just the recalling the feel of it. But later on in the first CD, we'll call it, or the first record, first half, there's like a jam track on there. And I remember just being like, what? I just want to hear, I want to hear Downward Spiral Part 2. You know what I mean? And it wasn't that. So I didn't get it until years later when my tastes kind of changed, or shifted, I should say. And I was like, oh, this record's absolutely brilliant. It gives you everything that Trent needed to give you at the time. That's what this is about. The artist needing to get something out that is almost counterintuitive to what they are known for, right? Because you see what The Fragile, to me, sets up everything as we get into Ghosts and all the amazing ambient stuff. And I say that like super seriously. That stuff's incredible ambient work. Which is not easy music to make. Me and my dear friend Lou Ross, the drummer that I make music like that with, we do a duo thing here in Pittsburgh, PA. We talk about this all the time. It's like ambient music's hard to make. It's like making good abstract art. It's not easy. It has to be informed by in the box things. I hate saying that term, but I'm going to say it there for lack of having another one prepared. But like, it sets everything up moving forward with Nine Inch Nails. And it does have all those elements of looking backwards at Nine Inch Nails all the way back to Pretty Hate Machine, Broken. There are moments of downward spiralness in there. But there's like, there's like house beats a little bit in there. Again, there's like that jam track. There's these moments of extended instrumental textures and things. I feel like Trent's use of textures as a whole on that record are just so exceptional. And I love that that's the moment where a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people today. I don't talk to that many people because I'm relatively antisocial in my personal life. But the times that I do talk to people about Nine Inch Nails, a lot of times that's where it fell off for them. And I know that sounds crazy. If you're a devout Nine Inch Nails fan, as I am, that's not the case. I get that. But I think for a lot of people, like, they're like, I liked everything up. Closer was awesome. And then I don't know what Trent was doing. Like, Trent was being an artist. Trent was doing what he needed to do. He didn't care, wasn't not caring about record sales at that point. There had to be some pressure label-wise after the financial success of Downward Spiral. So The Fragile, to me, such an important record. Is it my favorite Nine Inch Nails record? No, it's not. I love that record, though. I mean, I really, really do. That's a great listen front to back. There's really not filler on there. The things that would be deemed as filler seem intentional. All right? So that's the Nine Inch Nails aspect of it. Now, let's go the other way. Meshell Ndegeocello. Amazing bassist, right? Like, so influential to me and so many other people. Like her, let's just call it like percussive funk approach on the instrument. I hate that term. It's the only way to say it, though. Early on, Plantation Lullabies, Peace Beyond Passion. Crushing. I love those records. I really, really do. But the record I want to talk about is The World Has Made Me the Man of My Dreams. So I believe is 2009, right? So we're considerably after that early years of Meshell's influence, right? There was a lot leading up to that. Like, you got her third record, Bitter, which departed pretty heavily from like the up funk stuff there. Like, you get to, I'm just gonna call it The Man of My Dreams. I'll just abbreviate it that way or shorten it. And you have these elements that, again, at the time of listening to it, confused me. I didn't know really what I was expecting from her. Granted, if you see the evolution from, let's just call it like Peace Beyond Passion to Bitter to there's like that Spirit music, which is like a jazz. It's a great record. Not quite as varied. It was kind of a jazz jam thing. Matt Garrison's on it, which is so awesome. I love Matt Garrison so much. Then you have Comfort Woman, which I really liked that record when it came out. Now I listen to it and it's a little boring to me, to be honest. There's some like killer grooves on it, don't get me wrong. Just it doesn't super inspire me anymore. You hear that evolution moving up to The Man of My Dreams, where there's like these elements of like the punk, not punk, but there is like a punk kind of element to those. It reminds me of like what it set forth, like things like the Great Van Hunt records that came after his slight commercial success with his self-titled record a few years later. Actually, I don't even know if it was a few years later chronologically. Nonetheless, I think it was so influential for musicians in that vein to have the courage to kind of depart from something that they were known for. And what really got me thinking about this was I remember reading something about, this pissed me off so bad. I remember reading something about, I think Meshell was coming to Pittsburgh, and I didn't go to the show. And I don't go to a lot of shows. I know that sounds crazy as like a massive music fan. I like listening to music, and I do love seeing live music, but I don't go to a ton of it. Nonetheless, I honestly didn't have plans to go to the Meshell show. And I know that's not being a super supportive musician, but I'm sure that show sold out anyway. But what really got me, and I remember thinking this, and this is where it was kind of like the impetus for the video, is that I remember reading like the blurb on like whatever website had the tickets for sale, and it was like, about the artist. And it talked about like her playing with John Mellencamp and her playing with the Rolling Stones and her first two records, and then nothing after that. And it kind of goes, the parallel there with Nine Inch Nails is like, I talked to a lot of bassists. They love Meshell, and they only cite two records. They cite Plantation Lullabies and Peace Beyond Passion. I don't even know if that's in the right order. Either way, the first two records, right? And that's the most easily digestible Meshell stuff, because it's like most of it's up. There's some heavy kind of like funk elements to it. You hear that, like, it's just that bass playing element is more prevalent in it. And I love those records. I love everything that happened after that more because of what it represents to me. Meshell saying, I did that. I don't need to do that again. And then I think quite literally just confusing all of those listeners from Bitter onward. And if you listen to those records, and I'll say this too about Nine Inch Nails stuff, kind of tie this all together. You listen to the evolution of both of those artists. And I say that with like the utmost, I consider them like basically Mount Rushmore artists to me. Creative output, creative direction, and just lack of caring what other people think. Massively influential, right? Or massively inspiring. I don't know that it would be influential because I still feel like I'm trying to learn that method a lot. But if you listen to those records, all the elements are there. They're just repackaged in different ways. Like you listen to all the later Meshell stuff, specifically The Man of My Dreams, and all that funk stuff is in there. All that syncopation is in there. It's just repackaged. And like if you listen to The Fragile, and I mentioned this, all the earlier stuff is in there. Trent's musical DNA is still there. It's just repackaged in a way that I think might not be as easily obtainable or digestible to listeners, but if you give it a second, it's there. And you even go later in Trent stuff, and you go later in Meshell's stuff, it's all still there. Like those beautiful, beautiful elements that everyone fell in love with about these artists, they retained all of that stuff. They just had the need, the wherewithal, they had the skill to repackage and repurpose those things into a sonic experience, an artistic statement that they needed to make with never jeopardizing their voice and their vision. And to me, that's massively inspirational. It's motivational. Every time I write music, every time I sit down to music, there's small little things that I think about with artists, sometimes consciously, sometimes self-consciously, or not self-consciously. It can be self-conscious, subconsciously. And like Daniel Lanois, Brian Eno, those are beacons to me. And we'll do some more videos. I'm going to talk a little bit about Daniel Lanois in a future video for sure. I definitely have some ideas on that. But in this case, Trent Reznor, Meshell Ndegeocello, true artists, true craftswomen, just true artists that are just mesmerizing to me in their output and their devotion to the craft. Again, encourage you. Think about the artists you like. Think about why you like them. Think about the moments in their career that mean something to you. Drop me a comment. Let me know. I would love to have the discussion. Thanks for watching. Next time we're coming back, bass video. Maybe we get into the cadence. It's bass, non-bass, bass, non-bass. I don't know. I don't like putting parameters on anything, if you know me. But nonetheless, thanks for watching. Listen to music. Listen to artists. Go to the museum. Check stuff out. Get inspired. It's the absolute best thing you can do.